it's not just you who is using AI to ensure that everything that you want can be done, everything that you want to know is known. It is also one of the most premier recruiting agencies of our country are using AI to ensure that there is no duplication, there are no repetition of problems that have been created earlier. So UPSC has decided to bring in verification right at the stage of prelims, and UPSC is using AI to do that. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to understand that how artificial intelligence is also bringing changes, solving difficulties at the level of education administration, recruitment and so much more. Now when we are talking about this particular news that UPSC is using artificial intelligence, it becomes all the more important because 2 years back we saw a case where a particular candidate who had exhausted all the attempts decided to not only change their name but also the parents' name and reappear for the exam. So in this context, verification also needs to go up a notch to ensure that there is no duplication, the candidates are not using illegal means, and verification is at the prior stages. So in this context, let us understand that what exactly has happened. So UPSC has rolled out AI exercise to weed out the ineligible UPSC candidates. And when we are looking at it, what we are seeing that this is a major shift when we are talking about the recruitment governance in itself. So this was the first ever AI driven eligibility screening that was done at the application stage itself. That means when we are talking about filling up the form, that is when UPSC decided to understand the eligibility of candidates. Now this is something that is coming in terms of reforms, seeing the previous controversies that have been created in order to ensure fairness for the candidates, bring in better transparency and most importantly, ensure the integrity of such a premier institution that UPSC is. Now when we are looking at this whole exercise, let us try to understand this better. So when we are talking about usage of AI, what AI is being used for by UPSC is to understand if a candidate is duplicating. If a candidate is duplicating and how that can be identified so as to ensure candidates de-duplication. In order to verify the identity and also have a clear understanding of the attempt limit verification, the category change detection, which usually happens after the interview stage. And in this exercise itself, what did UPSC see? 8.18 lakh candidates had registered, 5.49 lakh appeared in the first stage of exam, that is prelims, but 569 applications were rejected, and additional to that 69 Indian Forest Services applications were also rejected based on this AI exercise. Now let us try to understand more that how and why UPSC introduced AI. So as I said, controversies, the Puja Khedkar, who was an IAS trainee back in 2024, she was the one where irregularities were found in her candidature. So she had appeared despite exhausting all the permissible limits. What she had done, she had changed her name, parents' name and also the identity details. She used multiple identities to bypass UPSC regulation and verification as well. So this clearly highlighted a systematic gap, that eligibility verification that was largely conducted during the personality stage or during the interview stage, the third and the final stage, and candidate could easily clear the first two stages before any discrepancy was understood or detected. So that is why we are seeing this reform so as to ensure early stage scrutiny, automated reformation and stronger fraud detection systems, because with presence of AI, with presence of better digital means, fraud is something that is prevalent. For example, when we saw the result this year, it was about 2 candidates claiming the result based on their name. One was the actual candidate, the other was not. So here we get to see that UPSC has brought in the process where application submission is done, Aadhaar authentication is done, and immediately after that AI based deduplication is also done. Now it is not just to understand the duplicate entries, this is done based on historical database that is present with UPSC, and based on that the eligibility is being verified and application would be either accepted or rejected. And this is not the only exercise that UPSC is doing in terms of deduplication. UPSC is also looking into category verification and understanding if the candidates are complying to the reservation rules. What UPSC did? UPSC used AI yet again and examined whether candidates had changed the social category across the attempt. For example, if anybody had changed the category from general to EWS, from general to OBC, from scheduled caste to OBC, and in this UPSC found more than 43,000 candidates who had changed the categories. Now based on this, what did UPSC do? UPSC detected that and UPSC went for a clarification. UPSC sent mails to get clarification. Candidates submitted their supporting documents. Many of the changes which were made, they were legitimate, they were accepted. For example, there is a candidate who could not get the documents for applying in the EWS category at the given required time. So that time he applied for general, this time he is applying for EWS. So as a final outcome, again 133 applications were cancelled after the detailed scrutiny. And the candidates who had exceeded the permissible number of attempts under the applicable category rules, they were also the one who were rejected. Now this clearly shows how that artificial intelligence is changing the educational governance, it is changing the recruitment governance in our country. At the very same time, where it is very important to ensure that proper implementation of proper policies are done. There is no misuse of this system and at least genuine beneficiaries, the people who need the reservation, people who need to be protected, they are protected. And it is not just in our country or just UPSC that is using AI. We can clearly see across the globe, artificial intelligence is being used for admissions, examination management, student services, academic analytics, and also fraud detection. Now, let us look at some case studies. The first case study is definitely UPSC. Then we have multiple UK universities which are using predictive analytics to identify students who are at the risk of dropping out. So what it helps with? It helps with better retention rate, it helps at targeted academic support. Other than that, we are also seeing that Georgia State University of USA, they are using a whole student assistant chatbot which is powered by AI. So that students have 24/7 support, the query resolution is faster and administrative workload and also the expenditure that is reduced. So what we see? Administrative management, examination and predictive governance, all of this AI has entered to evolve the education systems which are present worldwide. So the question here is not what AI is doing, but how AI can solve the problems in front of the system. Because if we look at the Indian education system, I think all of us would agree a lot of solutions are required. Not all can be definitely given by AI, a lot needs to come from policy, system cleaning, removing corruption and more. But at the same time, there are problems such as application, fraud, verification, human errors that can be solved through AI in a very systematic manner. And it can ensure that governance is benefited. For example, faster decision making, greater transparency, enhanced accountability, resource utilization would be better, and litigation and disputes that will also be minimized. And it would be not just for governance, candidates would be benefited, and as a result, we will see that AI is supporting what as citizens we want: good governance, efficient public service delivery, and also digital transformation. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.